Well, I don't know if that took or not. Good morning, my friends. How are you? There we go. I think we're good to go. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Glad to have you along with us. Trouble viewing is possible. Which one is that? We'll get rid of that one. But I think we're good to go over on Instagram this morning. Although, I don't know. It's always a challenge to add that Instagram destination. StreamYard and Instagram seem to fight each other a little bit. Tommy, good morning. How are you? Nice to have you along with us, as always. You're a regular viewer. Talk about regular viewers. Cliff is usually the first person in here. Mad Jack, good morning, buddy. How are you? I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, which is pretty obvious, right? Tim, how are you? Hey, Tim, to answer your question from last week, reservations for our Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack on April 15th. The reservations will open March 1st. March 1st. Bernie says it almost felt like spring yesterday. You know what, Bernie? I got my report. I got my first report of a dead skunk in the road yesterday. A little early, I know. Paul, good morning. How are you? Jim, always nice to have you along with us. Larry, I don't recognize your name. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. My screens says the live on Instagram did take, but I don't think it did. Jim, how are you? Yeah, it's way too early for that first skunk. It's like you're just teasing us now. Good morning, John. You are more than welcome, Tim. I look forward to seeing you and Jen there. By the way, my name is Mike Avery. This is Behind the Mic. I'm actually here behind two microphones, my social media microphone, this that you're hearing me on, and my official broadcast microphone. Here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. A little bit of a throat thing going on this morning. A little bit of a, well, here's what it is. I saw my youngest grandson, Bodie, a.k.a. Bob, over the weekend. They came up for a baby shower. So I got to see the kids and grandson. And Bodie had just started daycare at the first of the year. And you know how it is when a kid goes into daycare until they get used to it. They come home with everything, and then they pass that along to the adults in their world. So the kids get sick, and they're better the next day, and the parents get sick, and they're better in 2 days, and the grandparents get sick, and it takes them 3 days to get over it. Been smelling skunks all winter, kind of strange. You sure it wasn't pot? Joe, how are things in Germfest? John, good morning from Jay Sporting Goods. How are you? Uncle Johnny, how you doing, brother? Nice to have you along with us. Johnny Bowler checking in from the wintry UP. Johnny, how many days on a plow truck now? Straight, like 32? Johnny needs a break. Yeah, I don't think the Instagram feed. All right, Craig, appreciate your help, buddy, on everything, and just appreciate your friendship. You're a good guy. See you tonight. Tony, I tried to send you a text yesterday. The radio conversation we had last week regarding crow hunting. I edited that down into my Outdoor Magazine minutes for next week. Excuse me just a second. Yeah, there's a little crud all of a sudden hit me yesterday. And I blame Typhoid Bodie. Anyway, Tony, I edited those into the Outdoor Magazine minutes for air on stations, radio stations across the state next week. I tried to text those to you, and they wouldn't go through. Do you have an email address I can send those to? If so, Tony, text me your email address, and I will send those to you by email. Renee, good morning. Paul, actually starting to feel it after Thanksgiving weekend. I had Hunter's exhaustion, then got into a funk, but I'm feeling better now. Excellent. JT, good morning, buddy. How are you? You only did 41. 41 straight days in a plow truck. I was thinking about you the other day, Johnny. Thinking, you know, how when you go down a road that's all white and there's snow everywhere, how it's kind of hypnotizing and exhausting. And I was thinking about you in that plow truck for what, 41 straight days? Wow. Kevin said it's 43 degrees in West Branch this morning. Tim says sometimes it is pot that he smells, especially near Pinconning. You know, I swear when I was a kid, dope didn't smell like it does now, because it does smell like a skunk now. Jay, I was going to, you are one of the topics of discussion for this week's radio show, talking about your sturgeon season last weekend. 48 minutes, 6 fish were taken. The biggest one, a 67-inch female, 79.4 pounds. I just got a text that got my attention. Let me respond to this very quickly. Stand by, doing a live stream now, aware of the situation, working on it. Will get back with you when I can. Just get back with you. Okay, so anyway, Jay, had a great sturgeon season, fabulous chivalry. Need to get you up here next year. I would love to. Jay, I'd love to make it up there. I really would. The reason I couldn't come last weekend is, thank you, Tony. I see that. We, let me write, okay. I had a fundraiser for Brian's House hospice in Bay County last Saturday, so I couldn't make it up to the Sturgeon Chivalry. But it was a good event, especially for a first-year event. I was real happy with it. They did a wonderful job. It was interesting that they had to change the venue from Bay Valley to the old Bay County Country Club, Bay Valley. I don't want to get into this too much here, but I would be very reluctant to schedule an event at Bay Valley right now. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Nick, you know I love your name, Nick. Nick Detroit. Big buck night tomorrow. Am I going? No. Tomorrow? Big buck night tomorrow. Are we talking about, do I have my weeks wrong here? No, I don't. The big buck night that I'm aware of will be next week at Outdoor Rama, but that's next week. It's not tomorrow. Help me out here, Nick. Good morning, Robert. How are you? Hunter Joe. Good morning, Mike. What's your take on the legislature attempting to subvert Proposal G by going around the NRC trying to reinstate baiting? This is a slippery slope as we the people voted to keep game regs out of the legislature. I agree with you, Hunter Joe. I think this is a very interesting situation. I am quite convinced at this point now that we will see baiting for whitetails for the 2026 season. Will it come from the legislature? Quite possibly, because they seemed hell-bent on making it happen. It won't come from the DNR, but I actually saw a statement from the DNR last week or the other day saying that they are open to the discussion, but they would like to see the proposal originate with the NRC and not the legislature. I agree with that. I don't know if the NRC will bring this forward or not. I think it would be a good move. I'd like to see them do it. Yeah, I agree with you, Hunter Joe. I don't like, as much as I want to see baiting come back, and I don't want to see it come from the legislature. I don't think we want politicians managing our wildlife populations and our management. Got it there, Tony. DJ, good morning. How are you, buddy? Morning, Jerry. How are you? new bill that would pass to bring bait betting. The DNR couldn't hold that up with red tape. No. And just to be clear, because I've had a lot of people say, oh, baiting is back. Baiting is not back. The House has passed a bill that would allow baiting for elk and whitetail in the Lower Peninsula. The Senate hasn't passed it yet, and the governoress, the Gretch, the big Gretch, whatever she needs to go. She's done too much damage to the state for too many years, but she'll be gone soon. She hasn't signed it yet. So no, this isn't a done deal yet. Do I think the DNR will hold it up with red tape? The DNR would not have the ability to hold it up. If the legislature approved it, the DNR would have nothing they could say about it. Good morning, Gene. How are you? Andrew, thanks for joining us. Cap, Jason Graham's watching us over on YouTube. Morning, Jason. How are your ice fishing trips, your adventures? How are they going? Scott, good morning, buddy. How are you? Happy Mardi Gras season. Hadn't thought of that one. Mike, good morning, Mike. How are you? Glad to see a little warm up back there. Yeah, we're getting a break here. But that's not tomorrow, Nick, is it? Isn't that? Yeah, no, that's it. Is that tomorrow? Did they move it away from Outdoorama? Because Big Buck Night used to be part of Outdoorama. So, Nick, did they move it away from Outdoorama? I will be down there next weekend for the MUCC convention. I will be there Saturday and Saturday night. Maybe Friday night. I don't think. I don't know. So did they move Big Buck Night away from Outdoorama? Dave, good morning. Ed, how are you, buddy? Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman. Good morning. Jim. John said it's Outdoorama next weekend. There's a boat show this weekend. What are you telling me, Nick? I don't know what you mean. Morning, Julie. Hey, Jim, how are you? Jim, I don't recognize your name. Thanks for joining us. Nice to have you along with us. Appreciate it. I'm doing great. All right, Johnny, have a good day. Andrew Cumtus from Outdoor Driven. Outdoor Driven will be hitting the ice this weekend with Walleye Joe charters. You will catch fish. Walleye Joe is a machine. He is a walleye machine. Captain Jason Graham, another walleye machine, says the ice is good. Fishing is even better. Great trips this past week. Tim Benz, who always has an interesting perspective. NRC was established to make scientific decisions, but they don't, and Congress, who could care less about science, is now making these decisions. Nick says, now you got me looking into it. Nick, I am quite sure that it is next Thursday in conjunction with Outdoorama. Ed Bolanowski, big ice fishing tournament on Hubbard Lake this weekend. Ed, I just saw a post somewhere. Was it Hubbard or Higgins? I think it was Higgins. About a 12-pound walleye that somebody caught through the ice. Randy, good morning. Hunter Joe says, speaking of MUCC, what's going on there internally? That is the $64 million question. I have knowledge of what's going on. There are things going on. They're searching for a new CEO to replace Amy Trotter. You can never replace Amy Trotter. Never. It's my hope, in fact, it's a lot of people's hope, that by the convention next weekend, they will be announcing the new MUCC Chief Executive Officer. But we'll see. If there's a new CEO in place by next weekend, and they can kind of reassure the troops, reassure the membership where they're going, and that they're committed to the hook and bullet side of things, in addition to expanding their base, I think that would be a very encouraging thing. But we'll see. So, yeah. So to answer your question, what's going on there? There's a lot going on there. I continue to support MUCC. I am still cautiously optimistic that they can remain a viable group into the future. Roger. Good morning, Mike. Been slow catching walleye on the Saginaw River. But the video I'm seeing, and I haven't been on the river, the video I'm seeing, morning, Arthur, video I'm seeing is a lot of small fish. A lot of small fish. Tommy saw 4 big toms cross the road yesterday, getting closer to turkey season. Amen, brother. John Callison says Big Buck Night is Thursday the 19th, which would be at Outdoorama. Danny, good morning. Look what I got, Danny. The Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation mug given to me by you guys years ago. As you can see, it's had some use. I would never buy a Yeti for myself because they're overpriced, but when my friends get them for me, I will gladly use them. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Paul, I have to make a phone call soon. I still have to get my convention package. I signed up for convention. So I will be there. I'm not a voting member, but I want to be there and hear the discussion. I'm also there at the fundraising dinner Saturday night. I'm emceeing that event. Did I see the huge lake trout caught near the Zilwaukee Bridge? I did not. Raymond, never a fan of MUCC. Way too political and catering to non-hunters. I'm going to disagree with you there. Ray, I respect your opinion of being against MUCC. But as far as being way too political and catering to non-hunters, MUCC, in my opinion, the group is masterful at playing politics and surviving and getting things done in Lansing. So are they political? Absolutely. But in my opinion, they have to be to get things done. Catering to non-hunters, that one can be argued. I don't subscribe to that. But again, I respect your opinion on that. The next 6 months will be critical. The next 6 months will decide if we have a viable MUCC or not. Kevin, and a year ago, I never would have dreamed that I'd be making that statement. Kevin, good morning, buddy. How are you? John, I agree with Hunter Joe about Proposal G. I think maybe this is a negotiation between the House and the NRC. That could be a good thing. Preserve Proposal G and get rid of the baiting ban. Governor would never sign this legislation. Let me think about what you're just saying. Negotiation between the House and the NRC. I don't know. I got to give that one some more thought. Captain Todd, good morning. How are you? Nick says, my bad. You're right. It's the 19th. So going back to your original question, Nick, about whether I will be at Big Buck Night, which is next week. No, I won't be going down to Outdoorama till the following day. I know, Paul. Hang tight. I know. Nick says, I'm glad you told me that. I'd have been there tomorrow. Paul, plain and simple, we need members to pursue MUCC to do what we, the members, want. Yeah, I agree. All right, let me tell you who's coming up on the radio. Charlie?
Good morning, too.
You're my guy, eh? Charlie, you're always my guy.
Well, much appreciated.
I forgot to plug in my official broadcast microphone. I'm talking on my official social media microphone, but my broadcast microphone is not plugged in yet. Yes. Charlie Rude just walked in the door here, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie.
Just left everyone speechless.
Let me tell you who's coming up on the show this week. And the more I talk, the better my voice is getting. But I think after about 2 hours, it's going to go to poop. Yes, I was around my grandson, Bodie, Bob. Bodie started daycare the first of the year. So Bodie brings home every germ and crud that floats around. And while I was loving on him, I think he might have snuck one of those germs to me. We call him Typhoid Bodie.
Well, I'm producing your show on drugs today, so.
Charlie's right there, too. Okay, my first guest this week is a former MUCC staffer. His name is Steve Wyndham. He's now at a group called Outdoor Mentors, designed to get kids in the outdoors. We're going to talk to him about that. Then Myron Gilbert of USA Angling, talking about the competitive side of ice fishing and the World Ice Fishing Championship. In our second hour, Captain Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters in Manistee on wintertime steelheading. Then Tom, see, there we go. Then Tom Weston from the DNR about digital kill tags. And then this week's Ask Avery question goes back to baiting If you get a ticket for baiting, and this came up at Wednesday Night Live last week, if you get a ticket for baiting, does it prevent you from hunting in other states? I'll answer that question. And in hour number 3, the Whitetail Whisperer, John Eberhart, talks about postseason scouting. But unlike a lot of people who are out there scouting now, John says, don't do it quite yet. And we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. So that's who's coming up on the show this week.
Okay.
Deb, good morning. How are you? Roger says, Mike, you would be a great addition to MUCC. I am a member of MUCC. I am a partner with MUCC. But as far as being on the board or anything like that, I don't see that in the cards. No, Nick, you never look dumb. Listen, Nick, you got such a cool name, you could never look dumb, buddy. Bernie said a shot of Makers will take care of your sore throat. Bernie, I hate to point this out to you, but it's 9:05 in the morning. Yeah, it might take care of things, but it's going to cause more problems than it would fix at this point. Now, if we're doing Wednesday Night Live and you make that suggestion, okay.
15 seconds.
15 seconds. All right, my friends, enjoy the break in the weather. Have a great day. I'll be back. Good morning, Matt. How are you? I'll be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. 1, blast off. Wow, that was loud. Ugh. Captain Todd says it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It is, but in my world, it can't be 5 o'clock yet. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. All right. You get to see me. No, he didn't yet. Matt, please do. Please do. Bob, good morning. How are you? 12 o'clock somewhere. It is. You guys, quit forcing the Makers on me. It's too early in the morning. All right. I will, I'll work my way through this thing. I'll be back tonight at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, enjoy the little break in the weather. And I'm doing all right. Just a little something. Have a good day. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on great radio stations across this great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us as we continue to celebrate the outdoor lifestyle, to talk about the history and tradition of the outdoors here in the great state of Michigan. I'm here for 3 hours every week, talking about hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping and wildlife issues and conservation issues, even some wild game cooking. We wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. We will do that once again this week. I've been doing this for a long time. Started out in television news, then moved over to outdoor television, had my own TV show for many, many years. It was on nationally on the Outdoor Channel. It was on the Sportsman Channel. It was on broadcast stations around Michigan. And then a few years ago, I saw the light. And I said, outdoor television, from my perspective, there wasn't much of a future in it. But I had this little thing called the Outdoor Magazine radio show that was a companion venture, a partner to the TV show. I said, you know what? Let's get out of TV. And there's more to this story. But I'm not really going to get into it right here. But I got out of television, went into radio, and have never looked back. Radio, podcasting, social media. That's what I do these days. But the purpose, the reason behind all of this is to promote, encourage, and protect in whatever way I can the history and tradition of the outdoor lifestyle here in this great state of Michigan. I hope you're enjoying this little bit of a break in the weather. As we're here in the studio today, it's going to be pushing 40. Forecast calls for the next several days to be high 30s, maybe even low 40s. Isn't that a nice break? I tell you, it was so cold and miserable. I didn't even want to go outside. Now, I realize that the guy who makes his living in the outdoors, that's a heck of a thing to say. But no, I just didn't want to at all. But now I actually went out. I took my walk instead of downstairs on the treadmill yesterday. I ended up walking outside, and it felt good. Was there some slush? Yes. Was there some water? Yes. But there was no ice, so it felt pretty good. So we're getting there. We are getting there. What do I always say is my sure sign that spring is just around the corner? The first thing is a dead skunk in the middle of the road. But it's way too early for that. Or is it? I got a text from my buddy Bill LaShawn the other day. He said, Mike, I just saw my first dead skunk in the middle of the road. So it's coming. It's coming. Now, it's not official until the red-winged blackbirds come back. This is my world, right? And we're going to be a long time before the red-winged blackbirds come back. But that first dead skunk in the middle of the road, it's coming. So I would like to tell you that I took advantage of the break in the weather and went out to the lease property and took down the old man base camp blind that I put up. My grandson Trent and I put up last September. I wanted to get it down so the rain and the cold and the sunshine didn't rot the fabric. It's one of those things that's been on my list. Avery, you got to get out there and take it down. It'll take you an hour and a half from the time you leave the house till you get back. Just get out there and get it done. But I kept getting sidetracked. It was something else. So I get a text I actually got a phone call from my son James yesterday. He said, hey, you know that blind you've been wanting to take down? He said, I took care of it. What a good son James is. He said, well, I wish, thank you. I don't want to be a burden. I was going to get out there eventually. He said, no. I had to go out there and take a couple of heaters out of the blinds anyway, so it was no big deal. So that's now taken care of, although I wasn't the one who did it. It's off my list. Did you hear about the sturgeon season, Michigan sturgeon season last week? The sturgeon shivaree, the folks from Sturgeon for Tomorrow. It was a longer season this year. It was a whole 48 minutes. The shortest fishing season in Michigan. 48 minutes to take their 6 fish. The biggest one, a 67-inch female, 79.4 pounds, almost an 80-pound fish. How cool is that? How cool is that here in Michigan, we have a resource like a sturgeon fishery? A resource that at one time was on the verge of becoming, I don't want to say extinct, but darn near. And now we have viable sturgeon fisheries in the St. Clair River. We're seeing sturgeon all over the state. They've got a sturgeon spearing season in Black Lake. You look at some of these conservation success stories around our state. Eagles, the return of eagles. I never saw eagles growing up. I didn't see my first eagle till I was 30 years old here in Michigan. And now they're everywhere. And it's because we quit using DDT in the environment and the birds were able to come back. Mother Nature was able to fix things again. Now, are there problems in eagle populations? Yes. But the number of birds, you can see eagles everywhere these days, to the point where, when the grandkids were a little bit younger and they were riding around in the back of my truck, not the back seat of my truck, and I'd go, there's an eagle. And they'd look at that and go, yeah, because of them, eagles were like seagulls. They were so common, it was no big deal. Look at our state's turkey population. Now, it is down a little bit over the peak from a few years ago, but turkey populations are down across the country. Again, that's something we never had when I was a kid. Now, turkey hunting is a huge deal in Michigan. One final example, and this is just 3 of many examples. You look at the Saginaw Bay walleye fishery. That population was wiped out from pollution and over-harvesting by commercial fishermen. Then the DNR and sportsmen's groups around the bay decided, let's try to bring back the walleye population using rearing ponds. And now we don't even stock walleye in the bay. It's all natural reproduction, and it's a world-class fishery. So there are some pretty exciting things going on around our state. Also, some interesting things going on around our state. For example, efforts to bring back baiting of white-tailed deer and elk. The elk are inconsequential, though. to bait deer in the Lower Peninsula. I've had a lot of people say to me, "Hey, baiting's coming back. Do you see the legislature approved it?" No, don't get ahead of yourself here. Do I believe baiting is coming back? Yeah, I think it's going to happen, but not quite yet. The state house has approved bringing back baiting. The Senate hasn't yet. The governor hasn't signed off on it yet. I think it will happen because I think there's a movement in this state, good or bad. I personally want to see baiting for whitetails come back. If you, the DNR, want us to take more deer, then give us all the tools to let us do it. And I only say this because I've seen this out where I hunt. The people around us, if they're baiting, they're gonna bring the deer to their property, and I'm not going to get a shot at them. So as much as I would like to see baiting come back, I'll make a prediction right now. It will never come from the Michigan DNR. They are not going to support this. However, if the legislature or NRC does, DNR will have no choice. I would rather see these efforts come from the Natural Resources Commission, not the legislature. I don't want our state politicians to get in the role of managing our wildlife conservation and hunting and fishing issues. That's not their job. They have the power to do it, but it's not their job. It's the NRC's job. So maybe the new NRC will come around and try to make it happen. That would be the best way to address it, in my opinion. Events coming up, Saturday, March 7th, the big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Trinity Monitor Lutheran Church, my church. I don't own it, but I'm a member there. I used to own it. No, not really. Not really. I felt like I did when I was chairman. Right, Charlie? You know that feeling? Yeah, Charlie's like, yeah, I know that feeling. That's coming up Saturday, March 7th. Go to bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor to get your tickets. Then the Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. That is April 15th. Easy day to remember, tax day. Reservations will open for that on March 1st. More details as we get closer. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show after the break, a good friend of mine, Steve Wyndham, formerly of MUCC, now with a group called Outdoor Mentors. We'll talk about that group's efforts to get kids in the outdoors. Then Myron Gilbert on the competitive side of ice fishing, including the World Championships. In our second hour, Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters in Manistee on wintertime steelheading. Then Tom Weston from the DNR on the new digital kill tags that we can use starting in turkey season. This week's Ask Avery question: if you get a ticket for baiting, how does that affect your ability to hunt in other states? Details coming up. And in hour number 3, John Eberhardt, the Whitetail Whisperer, talks about postseason scouting, and we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. There's a broadcast version and a podcast version. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what's on your mind. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Jordan, I hear I'll soon be getting the chance to host you on the Michigan Outdoors Report podcast. It'll be fun switching to it. That will be fun. He wanted to do it on a Wednesday night. I can't do a Wednesday night because of Wednesday Night Live. We will find a time we can do it. Kevin, I used to work with the Saginaw Bay Walleye Club, and we assisted DNR. Yes. Martin, good morning. All right, my friends, I got to go. I got to go to work. You can't really call it going to work. I get that. But I got to go. I'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock, for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Enjoy the break in the weather. Have a good day, and we'll see you tonight, my friends.